Right, David, this is the last session
Yeah.
of 10. And let's talk about the future shock.
Yeah, well, I suppose I have someone who's read a lot, continuously reads and have lectured philosophy of law and have a sense both of history and philosophy and so on the past. And the Irish are obsessed with the past. I am not. You know, if you win a case today, I go, and certainly Clark's and Chambers remind me, that's past now. You've got to win another case tomorrow. In other words, you're only as good as your last case. Try to say about barristers. So I think it's important to keep moving forward. And if you believe you're past it on your own, well, I don't because I'm winning cases, but you don't believe people look at you that way. Your experience, it's a different way of looking at it. And I'm still relatively youthful, but I do have this knowledge base, and I've used it as a teacher and a lecturer. And it is slightly interdisciplinary. And I am very scared about various things that are happening, some of which have been part of these sessions and some of which I've mentioned. And I think also the other point is how escalated this has been. These are quantum leaps that are taking place quite quickly. And if we could identify the salient themes that are challenges to professional activity, human rights activity, people of any shape or form, there are a number. One, we have the automation of things and the replacement of many work structures quite quickly by robots and by automation, which will render many forms of conventional employment obsolete. Now, historically, you had a guy in the 1960s, Marcuse, a hippie nut, in a way saying, oh, this is great. That way we'll all have more leisure time. Uh-oh. That isn't what the neoliberals have in mind at all. Or certainly they're not going to pay for any leisure time, and they're not going to give you any social support structures. They're just not going to give you any work. They're going to replace you with machines because it's more cost efficient. Then there is this really disturbing thing of artificial intelligence. And you have the pure blind hypocrisy of Mr. Bannon giving out about artificial intelligence, whilst he and Trump used it through Cambridge Analytica to engineer the American election results. And you see it every day. It's part of our daily lives, how they're influencing your consumer choices, the information that they're bombarding with, turning people into packages and consumers and products. And this, of course, is also, in an insidious way, warping the way people actually think. Now, it's always been a little like that. You pick up the Daily Mail or the Sun and you believe the bullshit. Well, I don't, but now it's all the way into your face. And it almost creates like the imperative of Ludwig von Wittgenstein, the great Austrian philosopher, fucked off to Norway for a year to live in a hut. I think it's something similar in Ireland. Just wash all this stuff out of your system. But of course, that's giving up. But no doubt, we've got to be extremely conscious of how the concept of being human is changing. It has always been the case, and this sinister legal school in America of law and economics, or Posner and people like very dangerous people, and judges, about homo economicus. And everybody ridicules it. Well, human beings are not simply economically motivated. They've got compassion, altruism, all of that. But gradually, this artificial intelligence is creating that type of human being. And that's what neoliberalism is creating. And that is, of course, going to coarsen and destroy most of social interaction, because interaction between people will be transactional and commercial at all levels. That's very worrying. Then the other thing, I think, that's extremely worrying is this point about survivability. We've mentioned already how environmental catastrophe is imminent and nothing's been done. And there's no sense that if the neoliberal model, which is shared by much of the world, continues, there's no sense that we'll do anything other than have boom and bust and economic meltdowns quite quickly, with certain countries, Norway, Denmark, Sweden, Germany, so on, not buying into it, although Germany doesn't buy into it and then inflicts it on Ireland and Greece. But that is really worrying because in conjunction with that is the withdrawal of all forms of social support in neoliberal countries, a magnification of the world's population, and an increasing state of authoritarianism. And it's almost as if the dice has been cast and we've gone too far. We're beyond what Michael Gladwell would call the tipping point, or what Yeats said in the 1930s, which applies today as well: things fall apart, the centre cannot hold. And of course, these people know that. The Republican Party of America, the corporate leaders in the world, they know it's screwed. They're just hoovering up the assets. And then they're working on an escape strategy. And the world has become science fiction. When someone like Bannon is talking about building cities in the sea, you might sound that as laughable, but what they're thinking about in competence is self-protection against the menacing hordes who they've disenfranchised and screwed, who are now going to be living in a situation where environmentally and economically they won't be able to have a sustainable living structure, with an absence of world leadership to do anything. So what do? I suppose what you try and do is you do as much good as you can, try and not buy into it, try and provide a culture of service, try and survive, try and impose it within reason, and try and develop yourself personally and professionally so that you are, in a modest way, a counterweight to all of this. There is an outside possibility, I don't clutch too much hope in this, that the various transnational organizations that are anti-government, which are developing, because no one has any faith in political parties, will create some sort of social movement and band together to resist them. And that might work in certain countries and won't work in others. And those countries which have proper democratic structures, such as the Nordic or Middle European countries, will probably not buy into all of this. But either way, they're going to be affected. It's an interconnected world. Even Norway is going to be affected by climate change and world economic meltdown. And these are dangerous and treacherous times, and there's no leadership.